All right, mic check, mic check. Hopefully everything's up to par. I think we're good to go. Gonna wait a couple minutes before we really get going here. Thanks to you guys who are already in. Really appreciate that. Got a lot to talk about tonight, of course. A lot of things going on in Atlanta at the moment. We're going to talk about each and every one of those things, and of course, the actual Atlanta Braves. We're going to focus on them as well. Talk about the past series with the Phillies, and then we're also going to speak at the end of the show about autograph of the day. That should be a really good autograph of the day story, so make sure you stick around for that. It's actually a pretty funny one, so make sure you stay tuned for that. That'll be towards the end of the show. Got a lot to talk about tonight. I'm trying to let as many people get in before I really get started. A lot of bad news surrounding Atlanta. We're going to talk about, of course, the All-Star game in just a second. So let's just get on into it. Welcome in On Deck. I'm Tyler Redmond, and we have a lot to talk about tonight. And here we go. First off, we're going to talk about this All-Star game. I just want to get that out of the way. I think that's the biggest off-the-field news for the Braves, obviously. That's what's been on national news lately is the All-Star game. And I'm not going to get political here. There's been a lot of political talk when it comes to this. I that's not what this channel is, nor will it ever be. I don't plan to do that. With that said, I'm sure you already know Atlanta lost the All-Star game over a voting bill in Georgia. So regardless of your stance on that, the political scene of this whole thing, I would like to paint the picture the way I see it. It's not in a political light. Everyone has an opinion on this, and MLB certainly took its stance, and that's their decision to make. But a lot of members in baseball media have either stayed quiet, if they're with the Braves usually, or they've spoken out in support of this decision. Typically, let me be clear: I am not in support of this decision at all, and it has nothing to do with this bill implications or the politics behind it in any capacity. Politics is not really the lens that I see through. This has everything to do with the All-Star game and the way the decision was made by Major League Baseball and by Rob Manfred. And we're going to talk about that. I know a lot of people have an opinion on this. It's been all over social media, rightfully so. And I honestly didn't want to talk about it. If you noticed last week, I did not speak on this topic whatsoever before the announcement was dropped. I avoided it as long as I could, but now it's actually happened. And I know you guys are going to want to know what I think about it. So this is what I think. The All-Star game has not been in Atlanta since I was an infant. Okay, that's not atypical. It only happens every, couple of decades. It doesn't happen a lot. Some teams have never had one. Atlanta was lucky to have had just one. With that said, that's how big of a deal an All-Star game is. So the announcement that the All-Star game was coming to Atlanta that happened 2 years ago put a lot of excitement into my house. We are baseball people. That's what we do. We already made hotel reservations like the day of just to make sure we would be there. With that said, the recent announcement that it was going to be moved triggered a very negative reaction out of myself. And I took a couple of days to think about how I was going to talk to you guys about it. Because again, I knew you guys were going to want to know what I thought about it. And again, I'm not speaking politically here whatsoever, but strictly as a baseball observer. There are two extremes with this issue. I typically fall into the category of keeping politics outside of baseball as much as possible. That's typically the way I see it. Sometimes, though, both of those two entities draw outside the lines. Politics and sports wind up mixing at some point or another, and sometimes for the better. I do think that players and teams should be able to use their platform to invoke change, and they've earned that platform. They deserve to be able to use it just like you or I on our own personal social media. They deserve to use their platform the same way. With that said, I think Major League Baseball jumped the gun on this one for sure. I really like what Freddie Freeman had to say about this, using Atlanta as a platform to invoke change. All of that aside, this would have been a really good year to have it in Atlanta. And not for the usual reasons you're going to hear. I don't mean economically. The year they had last year, almost making it to the World Series, they're one of the hottest teams in baseball. This team is built for the future. They're going to be here a long time. And they're, frankly, a team that has done nothing wrong. This is not the Braves' fault. That is one of the biggest misconceptions amidst Braves fans that aren't diehard. If you're watching my channel, you probably know as well as I do that this is not anything to do with the Braves, but a lot of people don't get that. A lot of these people that buy tickets every year are going to boycott the Braves because of this decision by Major League Baseball. I think it is a bit unfair to the players for the Braves, the fans of the Braves, and to this organization to make a decision based on a law that the state passed. They're still a part of Major League Baseball. It's also unfortunate that they're moving it out of Atlanta for other reasons. Everyone knows about the loss of Hank Aaron and how much of a toll that took on Major League Baseball, how much of a toll that took on Major League Baseball fans, and specifically Braves fans. The Braves have lost a lot of legends this year. We all know. Frankly, they're legends that I think deserve to be honored, and it would have fit right into the All-Star game. You can't tell me that they weren't planning on honoring Hank, Phil Niekro, Bill Bartholomew, and Don Sutton. You can't tell me that was not in the plans. I'm sure it was. And I know Major League Baseball said that they still plan to honor Hank wherever the All-Star game may be. You're hearing it here first. I think it's probably going to be in LA. That's what I think at the moment, because if it's not relocated back to Atlanta, I think it's going to LA because they lost it last year due to COVID. And I think that would be just the easiest jump too, instead of throwing a whole nother team into the mix. But I also don't think honoring Hank Aaron in LA or San Diego or Boston or New York would have the same levity. Atlanta was his team, his uniform, his city. He stood for civil rights in Atlanta. The other Braves, Phil Niekro, frankly, is someone that means a lot to me. I would have liked to have seen him be honored with a tribute. Don Sutton, former Dodger, but Braves Hall of Fame broadcaster, and they mean something, to the Braves fans. Bill Bartholomew, the guy that brought the Braves to Atlanta, they deserve to be honored, and I doubt they'll be honored in any other city. I just do. And why would they? It wouldn't matter to those fans. It wouldn't matter to that organization. And frankly, I don't think honoring Hank Aaron, as much as he meant to baseball, I don't think honoring Hank Aaron holds the same levity as honoring him at home. Again, Atlanta was his home. And, there were other celebrations that I know about kind of under the radar that the Braves had planned, and I'm sure we would have loved to have seen them as well, honoring former All-Stars. But the other thing, Atlanta is the gateway to the South. It has a nationwide audience. Before MLB Network, there was TBS, and the Braves cover, frankly, Georgia, Alabama, Kentucky, Tennessee, North South Carolina. I would argue Florida and some of Louisiana. Braves country is a lot bigger than just Georgia. And a lot of teams have that kind of fan base, and the Braves are one of them. They're a big part of the dinner table here. And if you want to make a statement, why not do it head on in that city? Face it head on. Do I think politics has a place in baseball? Honestly, not on my channel. This is not something I like to talk about. This is not something that I get into a lot. If you've noticed, I haven't talked one time about the politics here. But it seems politics has a place in everything at the moment. You can't escape it. And as much as the country changes, baseball should be allowed to have that ability as an organization to do the same, but it should never isolate one of its own teams. That's my problem with this situation. That is my fundamental problem. This directly affects one team, one organization, and one fan base. It's basically a protest here. And if this was happening to any other team, I would feel the same way. If this was happening to the Cubs or the Padres or, the Brewers, whoever it may be, I would feel the same way. In a perfect world, this is what I would have liked to have seen. I'll just tell you, I'll run it down what I would have liked to have seen. If you just had to take the game out of Atlanta because of this bill, put it in Los Angeles for 2021. They lost it in 2020 because of COVID. Let them take it, push the Braves back a year. But also, Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred, consult with Atlanta. That obviously did not happen because my biggest issue is that the Braves seem to be blindsided by this. And you're going to see what I'm saying in a second. The Braves, all right, Rob Manfred dropped his statement on the movement of the All-Star game shortly after the Braves released their statement. And they were far from similar. The Braves stated that this was, quote, neither our decision nor our recommendation, and we are saddened that fans will not be able to see this event in our city. Regardless of how you feel about it, we can all agree that you now have two camps on both sides split in opposite directions. That's a problem. The Braves feel like they've been punished for something that they couldn't control, which they were. And MLB feels like they have to stick with their decision now, with fear of adding fuel to the fire if they were to move it back to Atlanta. To me, this could have all been avoided. Obviously, Rob Manfred had a lot of pressure put on him by the Players Association and others, but if Major League Baseball, aka Rob Manfred, just counseled with Alex Anthopoulos and the Braves more, this could have been avoided. What I mean by that, explain the position Major League Baseball feels they're in. There's obvious pressure there. Explain they're going to move the game to Los Angeles. Then say, hey, Atlanta, next year, it's yours after this whole fiasco dies down. But I think then you at least see a more congruent press release from the Braves and a much more unified fan base of Major League Baseball. And the Braves also don't feel like they've been robbed of something, which, of course, they were. The obvious economic factor here, just having it in Atlanta drives a lot of people to the city, but it also drives a lot of money into the city and to the organization. We all know the Braves are struggling with money right now. That's public information. But that's how you make a statement as an organization. When I say organization, I mean Major League Baseball. You make a statement with continuity and congruence all across the platforms. Imagine how much of a bigger statement it would make if the team that is directly in this state not only agrees with you, but also says, yes, we will sacrifice this this year if we get it back next year. No matter how you slice it, public opinion is divided on this, and it really always will be. To me, it never really had to be, and that's my issue. Again, my issue here is that the Braves were blindsided by it. My main issue is not the politics. I honestly couldn't care less about the politics. I'm not into politics. That is not where I'm speaking from. My issue comes from the way MLB handled this situation. They made the Braves the bad guy. No matter how you feel about it, someone here is the bad guy, whether it be the Braves, whether it be Major League Baseball, someone in this scenario is the bad guy, and the fans are obviously going to pick a side. So now you have people boycotting the Braves when they can't control it. You have people boycotting Major League Baseball and losing fans when we're already struggling to keep fans. This is a problem, and a problem that I think never should have happened. So that's all I got to say about it. If you want to hear what I have to say about it again, you're going to have to replay this live stream. But that's what I think about the All-Star game leaving Atlanta, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. So let's talk about the Braves. Let's talk about what's going on with them. Obviously, a lot to dig into. 3 straight losses to open the season. This is not unforeseen. This is not something that has never happened before. It happened a couple of years ago, I believe. But they lost 3 straight to the Phillies, and we need to talk about it. Last time I was with you, I believe it was opening day. Pablo Sandoval hit the homer, and that was the only sign of offense that the Braves really had in that game. Really, since then, d'Arnaud's homer was it. There's been a couple of things here and there, but they really struggled on offense, and that's obviously the biggest concern with fans, and obviously, the fan base is really worried about it. I think you should slow down a little bit. Hear me out. They're playing in very, very cold weather. They are playing in, a different situation. Think about it. They just left Florida, and I don't know how many of you live in Georgia. I personally do live in Georgia. It's cold. It's been cold here. We've had a little bit of a cold snap, okay? With that said, I was in Florida a couple of weeks ago, and it was shorts weather. So you go from that to wearing a sock on your head because of how cold it is. It's obviously a very different situation. I think they've had to play in those situations in low-scoring ball games. I thought the pitching was fine. Ian Anderson gave up 1 homer. Charlie Morton did. He struggled a little bit, but for the most part, the pitching has been all right. And I think pitching has done more than enough to keep the Braves in the ball game. And we all know at some point this offense is going to break through. It's a matter of time before Acuna gets back to where he needs to be. Ozzie Albies is swinging the bat better because he's been real hesitant at the plate. But I think that eventually it's going to circle back with the offense. That is the least of my worries. This offense is built to succeed. You're not going to keep guys like Freddie Freeman down. You're not going to keep guys like Travis d'Arnaud down, Marcell Ozuna, Ronald Acuna very long. I will say this, Austin Riley, I know you guys call me a fanboy of Austin Riley, but Austin Riley looks better at the plate already. He's had a couple of base hits. Ian Anderson had a base hit, which was nice. He had a double. He needs to stop sliding. He's too important to the starting rotation to be sliding around. But regardless, I really think that it's a matter of time before the offense breaks through. Hopefully that's the case. Of course, next they got the Nationals. and hopefully they'll be able to, hopefully they'll be able to turn it around and play well in DC. The home opener is, of course, on the 9th. That's Friday. I will be there. Somebody gave me a free ticket. I will be there. So if you see me, yeah, that's me. Come take a picture with me or something. Come see me. Come talk to me. Really appreciate that. William, we're going to get to that super chat in a minute. Thank you. But yeah, I'll be there. They hopefully will have won a game by then. I've had a lot of people message me and asking me if the Braves are ever going to win a game. Yes, they're going to win a game. It's a long season. They played 3 games, which adds up. They have 159 more? Is that no, 158 more? They got time to turn it around. Okay, I'm not that worried about it. I'm truly not. I think they're going to be just fine. The starting rotation looking this good is a really good sign. They obviously had a day off today, so I would assume Max Fried takes the mound tomorrow. Charlie Morton following, Ian Anderson following, and then you'll see Drew Smiley. You may see Smiley tomorrow. I haven't even seen who's opening up tomorrow. I haven't seen that. But assuming that he's on, the correct rest days, you might see Max Fried. But we'll see. I would like to see Smiley at some point. Personally, I think that would be good. But I think, again, guys, the Braves are going to have ups and downs. Sometimes they start out with a big up. Sometimes they start out with a big down. They've obviously started with a big down, but they've also had a lot of things thrown their way off the field that have been you can't tell me they're not a factor. And, they're not talking to media about those things, and that is what it is. Thank you, Base Alaska. Smiley is actually scheduled tomorrow. I wasn't sure because I know there's a lot of factors going on with the rotation in terms of the bullpen game coming up and things like that. I wasn't sure how they were going to space those guys out, but if Smiley's scheduled tomorrow, then I expect to see Smiley. I thought Fried on opening day pitched pretty well considering he didn't have his A game. I thought he did really well in handling runners and in handling situations and limiting damage. And usually the Atlanta offense will put up enough to win Fried a game. At least Fried didn't take a loss, right? So that's a good thing to see. Before we move any further, I got to talk about Llerandi Gloves. I got to pay the bills, guys. Sorry. Llerandi Gloves, guys, their link is in the description. Go check these guys out. I promise it is worth your time. I absolutely love this glove. It is a very good-looking glove, but it's also well-made. And look, the prices on these things are phenomenal. Go check them out. They make a really good Christmas gift. They make a really good birthday gift. Whatever gift you want to give, Llerandi Gloves is the place to go. All kinds of different styles, 18 different colors. This, I believe, is like a Japanese something other. I don't know the ins and outs, but they certainly do. They are experts on this sort of thing. And again, guys, the price, you cannot beat it. I'm talking $100 plus off immediately the moment you make the purchase compared to what gloves like that go for elsewhere. Trust me, go check those guys out. It'll be worth your time, and I really appreciate it. I know they would too. So, yeah, I really think there's a lot of good things that we can take from the Braves as well. Obviously, there's the negative in losing and the negative in the offense not performing. But the bullpen, for the most part, has looked good. The bullpen was a big question mark when we opened up the season, but I saw somebody said it in the chat. Mentor has looked elite. Chris Martin, before he took an injury the other day. Hopefully he'll be all right. But the bullpen, for the most part, with the exception of Chris Martin going out, has looked sharp. And I know a lot of people threw some flack at Nate Jones on opening day. Nate Jones got 3 ground balls. One of them just made it through. And he also inherited a runner on second that wasn't his. And if you ask me how I feel about that rule, it depends on the day. If the Braves win with it, I feel wonderful with it. But if they lose, I obviously don't like it. For the most part, I really don't like it. I think it's a very cheap way to end the game because I don't care if we go 22 innings. At least that's final. I feel like we had more to play in that game. And I'll still feel like that even if the Braves won it that way. I don't like that way. Some changes are good for baseball. I think the DH would be a profitable, change to baseball, and that might be good for them. In terms of TV time, I could not care less about TV time. The pitch clock is stupid to me. I don't mind it because it doesn't affect me, but I think it interrupts the pacing of a game. It takes away some of the biggest things with a game. It takes away some of the biggest, I like things to progress naturally. Baseball is not supposed to have a clock. Baseball is not supposed to have a runner on second to start an inning, and especially walk a game off that way. I just don't like it. I get TV time's a big deal. I just don't like it. But it is what it is. Um, but I thought the bullpens looked really good. The pitching overall has looked good, and that is a major change from last year. I know we're all worried about the Phillies and the Mets and the Nationals, and I would even say a little bit of the Marlins. But the Braves have upgraded. I know the past 3 games have not looked like they've upgraded. Trust me, they have upgraded. The offense is virtually the same. It just hasn't opened up yet. That is a mixture of spring training, fall off, as well as cold temperatures. I think you get them in hot weather, you get that ball flying, because there was a lot of balls hit the other day that if they were hit anywhere else other than Philadelphia, I think they were out. It was really cold weather, as well as the ball's been deadened. That might have something to do with it. But Harper also hit one. I'll give him credit. It would have been gone. It would have been an opening day bomb, and it just died. I think the offense has not opened up quite yet, though. I would like to see more base hits, less strikeouts, but that'll come with time. Hopefully, they struggled to strikeouts a lot last year, but we'll see. Tomorrow, of course, they have a doubleheader with the Nationals. We all know about the Nationals and their COVID thing going on right now, and they're just trying to get a game in. They got a doubleheader, 7 innings, so that'll be interesting to see. I think what you'll probably see in that case is Smiley starting and then Fried following. Hopefully they can get at least one of those games as a W and come home with a couple of wins. But yeah, again, guys, I will be at that home opener. I will probably do some kind of video from there, maybe not live, but probably pre-recorded in some capacity, and I'll drop it either the next day or Sunday, one or the other. But I will be there Friday. We are going. I don't have a ton of time tonight, guys. I'm sorry about it. I wanted to get in and talk about the All-Star game and what's going on with the Braves. Don't have a lot of time to talk, but what I am going to do is talk to William, because he did super chat me, and I do appreciate that. William Fulgham, one of my biggest supporters. I truly do appreciate you. The best way to get back at MLB is to have the World Series played in Atlanta. That is a very, very good point, and I was going to say that earlier. I'm glad you said it. It's a good way to end this topic. The best way to get back at MLB is to have the World Series in Atlanta. You can't stop them from having the World Series in Atlanta if you win ball games. So hopefully that'll be the case. Hopefully it puts some things on the bulletin board and gives the Braves some extra motivation. With that said, one more time, guys, got to pay the bills. Go check out Llerandi Gloves, LlerandIGloves.com. Their link is in the description. They are the best glove company out there, in my humble opinion. And look, you can't beat the price. If you got a baseball player in the family, which all you guys are baseball fans, so I know you got somebody that plays baseball, tell them about Llerandi Gloves. Send them the link. Let them check it out. If the price isn't good enough for you, you're crazy. Go check them out, www.LlerandIGloves. I really do appreciate it. We are going to move into autograph of the day on that note. I got a really good one for you today. I've been really excited about doing this and telling you guys about this. It's a really nice piece, and the player on it is probably not someone that you know. I'll just be real with you. If you're an older fan, especially if you're a Pirates fan, you might know him. He was a first-round draft pick. His name's Steve Nicosia. He's actually on my channel. I did an interview with him a few years ago. You guys have heard me talk about Daryl Chaney, his United Way golf tournament. They have a lot of good people there. Everybody there is 5-star. If you're not a 5-star person, just in terms of your character, you won't be invited back. So they keep a pretty good list of people. With that said, Steve Nicosia is a very nice person. He's one of my first baseball interviews, one of the first people I ever interviewed at that tournament. I liked him so much that I went and bought this helmet and had him sign it. Now, this is similar to that Pete Rose helmet up there. It's the same make and model. It's era correct. And that's his signature. I'm going to try to get it up there. I know it's got that shine. What it says is Tyler Catch-A-Later, Steve Nicosia, 1979 World Series champs, Pittsburgh Pirates. Yeah, he was a rookie catcher in 79. He played with Willie Stargell, and he was first-round draft pick, and he played in the 79 World Series. Now, if you're a younger guy, you ought to go look up the 79 World Series. That is, if you're older, that is this, the We Are Family Pittsburgh Pirates. It was a really fun team to watch. Of course, Willie Stargell was on that team, Stargell Stars, all that good stuff. But the story I'm going to tell you is really why I'm still talking about this and why I'm telling you. The autograph is a personal thing to me. But I got this autograph about a year after I interviewed him. I just liked him so much that I took the helmet over and got it signed. And I think he's a very cool person and a very good player at one point. He played for about 8 years, primarily with Pittsburgh, some with Montreal, and some, I think, with the Giants. But most of it was with the Pirates. Most of his, greater years was with the Pirates. And the story I'm going to tell you, go look up. Just trust me. I interviewed, you know what? Hold that thought. I interviewed Steve, okay? His friends call him Nick, but I call him Steve. I interviewed Steve, Mr. Nicosia, and he's a super nice guy, a very soft-spoken man. Never could expect this to happen. About 6 months later, I'm watching the 79 World Series, the final game of whatever series that is, or it might have been a championship series, maybe not a World Series, but I'm pretty sure it's a World Series. And fans, they were in Baltimore, I believe, and fans broke out and stormed the field, Chris Chambliss style. And all of a sudden, I see this catcher at the bottom, and I find it's Steve. It's Nicosia, okay? He's got his mask off. Okay, his fingers, I come to find out later, his fingers were stuck in the mask of his catcher mask. The fan was trying to steal the mask. Okay, so Steve, look up the video. If you don't believe me, look up the video. Steve is pummeling this dude. Okay, just one after another, throwing haymakers and knocking this dude senseless. And so I pick up the phone and call him the next day because I was like, I got to know what that was because he didn't tell me any of this when I interviewed him. Sure enough, I call him. He calls me back, and he's talking to me. He goes, yeah, I get asked about that a lot. He said, what happened was he stormed the field. He said, Steve's like, I didn't want to fight him, but my fingers were stuck in the mask. I couldn't get it off. So when he went to take the mask, he was actually pulling my finger, and I couldn't get out. So at that point, I had no choice but to knock him out. So that happens, okay? I thought that was funny enough, but he then says about, I don't know, 10, 15 later in life, some way or another, he finds out that this guy contacts Steve. Steve's worried about getting a settlement in court or something, and they end up going to dinner, and he bought Mr. Nicosia's dinner, and it's just a really good story. Something that you never are going to hear about in any documentary or anything. But I think it's a very funny story. Again, he's so soft-spoken. If you don't believe me, you can check out the interview. Just search Steve Nicosia, Tyler, on the channel. You'll find it. It's an older video. It's before I got good at editing and things like that, but it's worth your time. He talks about Willie Stargell in it and things like that. But, he was a rookie catcher, and he just had to throw a haymaker. That's part of it, I guess, in 1979. But it was, again, just a really funny story. I really love that story. It's, one of my favorite pieces because of that story, single-handedly, and just the person Steve is. But again, Steve Nicosia, I'll show you one more time this piece. I've fallen in love with getting helmets signed, and I really love these older style helmets, the no ear flap helmets. Pete Rose looks amazing on it. Steve looks good. I got Darryl Chaney up there on another one. I believe I got Willie Horton on a Tigers one up there somewhere, but I got a lot of those spaced out throughout the room. Can I drop a link in the chat to the video? I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll tell you what I'll do. I will go find this video some point tonight, and I will put it on the community page, okay? I'll try my best to point it out, but you'll see. You got to look close. It's a wide shot of the field. I just happened to notice, my dad and I just happened to notice Steve Nicosia, he's about this size on the screen right here. Okay, if this is your screen, he's about this size. He's about right here, and he is just throwing haymakers one after the other. Hilarious, absolutely hilarious. I will do my best to go find that video. It's kind of hard to find, but I will try to find it, and I'll put it on the channel. On the community page. So stay tuned for that. But with that, guys, we are going to wrap it up. Been a fun night. I really appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. No, Justin Redman, I was like minus 19. No, minus 20. I was minus 20. Yeah, I was born in 1999, not 1989. My dad graduated high school in 1989, though. But yeah, I think yes, Justin Redman, Nolan Ryan style. He absolutely clocked this guy. And it's a really funny story. I'll do my best to go find it for you guys. But with that, guys, I am going to check out. I really appreciate you guys being active in the chat tonight. Really helps me out. Thank you for the likes. If you haven't already liked this video, helps my channel out a ton. And of course, share this channel with your friends. We got a lot of things planned to grow this channel throughout the season. some new equipment to be had to make these streams better pretty soon, hopefully, and of course, just some good videos as well. So really appreciate it, and we're gonna check out with that. But as always, guys, thank you again. Thank you for liking the video. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for tuning into every live stream. I do really helps me out. With that, guys, tuning out. Enjoy the doubleheader tomorrow. I will be watching alongside with you. And if you're at the home opener, come find me. I'll be glad to talk to you. Thank you, guys. Tune in later.